You know, for a while now, I've been comparing Sonic Frontiers to Breath of the Wild, but I don't think that that's really a good comparison anymore. After really looking at Sonic Frontiers gameplay, we can see just how different it can be from Breath of the Wild. Yeah, there's some similar things here and there, but overall, they're pretty different games. However, there is one game that comes to mind that actually is somewhat similar to Frontiers, albeit different in its own ways. And that game is Bowser's Fury, the extension of Super Mario 3D World. Now, in this instance, I'm not talking about the story or anything else except for the gameplay. The gameplay itself is still pretty different in its own right, but the overall core aspect of it between these two games, I think is actually pretty similar. One of the biggest reasons I think these two gameplays are similar is because we have to take a look at what these franchises often do. When it comes to Mario games and Sonic games, although their platforming style may be different, they are both level-based video game franchises. You normally go from level to level, and that's pretty much it. So when it comes to the game Bowser's Fury, well, Mario's gameplay style is like the levels are pretty much laid out for you right in front of you, and you kind of have to walk up to them. And it's kind of like an open area where you can kind of explore. And Sonic Frontiers has been described in previous videos as an open playground, where you walk up to those levels and do them right in front of you. One of the ways I've seen both of these games described is pretty much doing things at your own pace. You're not timed on doing certain things, but more so just focused on exploring and completing these objectives in your own way. Another thing to note here is that Sonic Frontiers is going to have multiple islands, similar to how Bowser's Fury also had that same thing. You see, when it came to Bowser's Fury, you would unlock different islands based on how much you've completed in certain islands before, so you'd have to beat Bowser a couple times and then eventually you'd unlock a new area. With Sonic Frontiers, we're not really sure how that's going to work, but I imagine once you finish a certain portion of that island that you're currently on, you can move on to the next one, like Bowser's Fury. Of course, like all things, this is not a perfect comparison, as one of the biggest differences might be the fact that Mario does not have that kind of open field like Sonic does. If you even just take a first glance at the game Bowser's Fury, you'll see that there's a lot of water involved, and a lot of that requires Mario to ride on Plessie to get from island to island. And in Sonic's case, well, you just have to run to those locations. And there is several obvious reasons for this, but to make it brief, Sonic is a character who always runs from area to area. And when it comes to Mario, I feel like it's purely just based on convenience. If Mario had to run from each and every individual island, the game would take a lot longer to beat because Mario isn't a fast character like that. So Plessie is there just so you can get there much quicker than you normally would without him. Of course, there are other things that also separate these two gameplay styles, like Sonic having a whole combat system and also a skill tree, which Bowser's Fury completely lacks. In this game instead, you have power-ups that you can have throughout the game, and you can also unlock more, that being the Giga Bell. Either way, Sonic's gameplay is a lot more intuitive in that front, and I'd even say throughout its entirety is probably a bit more complex, but in a good way. As we know, Sonic Frontiers is going to be a 20 to 30 hour long game, so what separates Bowser's Fury in this game is the sheer fact that Frontiers is a standalone title. Bowser's Fury is like an extension to what we already had in 3D World. So obviously, Bowser's Fury is going to be like an added-on extra DLC type thing, and Frontiers is going to be its own thing. So it should include and encompass a lot more stuff to do. And even when you think about it, Bowser's Fury is actually one giant island, and you go from each small section of that island to another one. Whereas in terms of Sonic Frontiers, you're exploring multiple islands, multiple standalone islands. And keeping in mind the fact that we've only seen one island throughout the several gameplay trailers we've received for Sonic Frontiers, if we use this as an indicator on how big the other islands will be, well then, this is going to be a pretty big game, and these islands are going to be pretty vast. Yeah, so there is a lot of similarities between Bowser's Fury and Sonic Frontiers, but there's also a lot of differences as well. But that in mind, I still do believe this is a much better comparison than Frontiers and Breath of the Wild. I would even argue that Bowser's Fury is actually one of the strongest comparisons I've seen of Frontiers and another game. However, I think the reason why Breath of the Wild gets compared to Frontiers so often is just because of the whole idea of an open world video game. Breath of the Wild is now that token open world game that everyone can gravitate to and compare off of because not only is it a great game, but it also is one that captures that feeling of being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want to. And in my opinion, it seems like Sonic Frontiers carries a lot of that same level of choice. You can choose to do whatever you want to. That in mind, there is a huge difference between Breath of the Wild and Sonic Frontiers. You see oftentimes Sonic Frontiers is described as a game that is open zone and not open world. And I think that's a deliberate choice because this is not supposed to be a game like Breath of the Wild. It's supposed to be its own thing. And even though it's not directly called an open zone game, nor is it as expansive as Frontiers, I think Bowser's Fury probably fits the bill a lot better than that of Breath of the Wild. And even though it may not be a perfect comparison, I think this might be the closest and best one I've seen. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Have you seen a game that compares this well to Frontiers, or do you think that Bowser's Fury is actually a pretty bad comparison? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is just what I think. I'd love to see what you guys have to say. I personally love Bowser's Fury, and if Sonic Frontiers was anything like this game at all, then I think that would just be phenomenal. And I think it might actually be my favorite game in the entire franchise. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And also, while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video if you enjoyed it, because I would really appreciate it. Anyway, now is a great time as any to shout out my legendary channel members. Thank you all so very much for supporting me and my channel and creating the best possible content that I can create. Without you guys, videos like these would not be possible, and I praise the Lord every single day for you. Thank you all again so very much. If you're interested in becoming a member of my channel, there will be a link in the description down below. But if you want to support me the other means, I have a merch store, and you guys can check out all sorts of Sonicsta swag, whether it be hoodies, t-shirts, hats, you name it, we got it in the description down below. But anyway, thank you all for watching. This is Sonicsta signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?